All right. Well, we have a very, very busy schedule. So, in order to keep this rolling and to stay on track and stay on time and get Dr. Egbert on the road to go down to the Orca Symposium, we need to
Yeah.
get going. So, welcome everybody to the first ever Implant Face-Off. We're very, very excited to be here and grateful for our participants. Um, and just can I get a thumbs up from Dr. Kubikian if you can see the slides? Awesome. Okay, so tonight we are so privileged to hear from some extremely talented clinicians. We have Dr. Josh Berridge representing the Dentsply Sirona implant system. We have Dr. Brent Boyse representing the Zimvie system. We have Dr. Ryan Dunlop representing the Neodent system. Dr. Nick Egbert representing the Southern implant systems. We have Dr. Nate Farley representing Noris Medical implant system. We have Dr. Adam Hogan representing the S.I.N. implant system. Dr. Dan Kubikian representing the Nobel Biocare implant system, and Dr. Bruce Smoler representing the BioHorizons implant system. So just want to thank you all for being here. I don't have a whole lot of time to go through everybody's bios, but look them up on socials, look them up on their websites, and learn all about them. They're incredible clinicians with a wealth of knowledge to share tonight. So I am Dr. Brandon Kofford. I'm the co-founder of Smart Denture Conversions, which is now known as Smart on X. And I'm just going to breeze past through this. But the reason why I get to be the ref tonight is because I've met all of these guys and I know them all to be astounding clinicians. And I'd say even a lot smarter than I am. I've learned so much from all of them. So my purpose tonight is to just make sure that everybody follows the rules, we get through this on time, and that we have a good time. All right. So Smart Denture Conversions rebranded, and then we had to rebrand the company name to Smart on X to include our other products. So don't let that confuse you. If you knew us as Smart Denture Conversions, we are now Smart on X. We're the exact same company. We just have more products that are beyond just doing a denture conversion. All right, so some housekeeping records or rules here. This webinar is being recorded tonight, and it will be available on demand. All right, so here's how tonight's going to go down, participants. We have 10 periods. There are 8 of you. Every doctor gets to present on every topic. The rotations are going to, or we're going to rotate shifts at each round, right? So the first to present in round 1 becomes the second in round 2, and so on and so forth. And each doctor gets 60 seconds per period. When your name is called, you're over the boards and you have a 60-second timer. Doctors are not allowed to speak at the bench. Bruce Smoler, I'm talking to you. No chirping in from the bench. Wait for your shift. All right, so we're going to handle up to 2 questions per period, meaning participants or attendees can ask questions in the Q&A section, and we are going to we're going to find 2 questions that the participants can address, right? So the question has to be submitted to the Q&A section. It has to address which participant you are wanting to question, and the question must be relevant to the topic. So for example, here's a bad example. Dr. Egbert, how do you grow such a wicked awesome beard? It was good in that it addressed Dr. Egbert, but it was bad because it didn't address a relevant topic. So a good example is, Dr. Egbert, what's the significance of grade 23 titanium alloy versus commercially pure grade 4 titanium? All right. So those are the types of questions we're looking for in the Q&A section. And then after the Q&A section, the audience gets to vote. The audience will get 30 seconds to cast your ballot. The rankings will be awarded as such. First place gets 8 points, second place gets 7 points, third place 6 points, down to the 8th gets 1 point. Every Olympic scoring here. Every period counts. Points stack across all 10 rounds. And then we're not going to be updating the leaderboard throughout the presentation. We're going to be keeping track of it. And then at the end of the presentation, we're going to announce the scores. All right. Also, we just need to make this disclaimer that these are the opinions of clinicians. None of us, not even me, I don't even represent Smart on X here. All of these are going to be our own individual clinical opinions. We do not represent the implant companies. We do not represent any company here other than our own companies, right? So, for example, Dr. Adam Hogan might be representing the opinions of the Atlantic Implant Institute because he owns it. Dr. Brent Boyse from the Arizona Maxillofacial Surgery Group because he owns it. All right. So these are the 10 periods. We're going to be talking about primary stability, armamentarium, restorative ease, cost, quality, bone maintenance, soft tissue health, inventory management, customer support, and restorative connection. I would also be interested in having the attendees of this webinar to put into the comment sections any additional topic that you would like us to address in future webinars or future implant face-offs. This is our first, hopefully, of many implant face-offs. Tonight, we're representing 8 implant companies, but there are others that aren't represented here, and it would be fun to see these implant companies and those implant companies mash up together as well. So here we are, period 1. Dr. Berridge, the time is yours. You have 60 seconds.
All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Joshua Berridge. I work at Sandhills Oral Surgery, and just a quick shout out to my partner, Dr. Gary Jones. All right. Jumping in, when you strip everything down, implant success and full arch conversion starts with one thing, and that's primary stability. The prime taper implant, as the name implies, was designed specifically to increase torque value through its tapered shape, but with respect to the bone biology. It conserves both bone coronally, condenses where the stability matters, and cuts really only where needed. And these combined factors promote optimal bone strain without causing excessive compression. And this provides us with the confidence of completing a relatively straightforward full arch case, but also a higher risk aesthetic case, such as this number 8 immediate implant. That's all I have. Hey, where's the timer, Brandon?
So Cameron's working on the link, so I'm having to do the timer myself. Sorry. Dr. Boyse, you're up.
All right. So the system that I use, this is specifically the T3 implant, and the unique thing about this system, it has quad shaping drills, which is not necessarily unique, but the drills are the exact diameter of the minor diameter of the implant, all the way up and down the implant. And so in my world, I do about 85% of my implants are immediate extraction implant placement. Sometimes I'm catching the last 2 threads at the tip of the implant. Sometimes it's mid body, sometimes it's coronal. And so I need maximum bone to implant contact, is IBIC, immediate bone to implant contact, to have the stability that I need to be able to do an immediate non-occlusal load, temporary, full arch temporary, and even withstanding, the patient's behaviors of chewing and eating and doing everything we tell them not to do.
10 seconds.
So it makes it very predictable. I know what I can do with that implant in my hand every time.
Perfect. Excellent. All right, Dr. Dunlop, you're up. Primary stability.
All right. Yeah, so the Neodent Helix implant is kind of the workhorse implant for most of my immediate load, immediate temporization cases. The tapered apex is wonderful for engaging cortical bone, sinus floor, nasal floor, piriform rim. I use the Helix in about 80 to 90% of my cases. Every once in a while, though, we always have a case where the bone is extremely spongy. You can kind of just poke right through it, and that's where the drive implant. I use those occasionally when the Helix implant doesn't get stability, where really nothing would. And those compressive threads of the drive implant really come in handy on extremely soft bone cases. So with the combination of the Helix and the drive implant, with all of the other things that we talk about, the surface and the cutting threads and the compressive threads and the tapered apex, I'm really able to load every case, and have loaded virtually every case in the last, I
10
don't know,
seconds.
5 to 10 years. So really for me, the combination of having that backup option is really helpful.
Perfect. Excellent. Good job. Dr. Egbert.
I'm ready. Hey, you can tell I didn't get the memo on 60 seconds. We hit the space bar, Brandon. You'll see a little video of the torque on this pterygoid implant. Just hit enter there. Video's not working. No, hey.
Video's not working.
So, representing Southern Implants, for the record, I've been KOL of 3 of these implant companies. I've placed and restored all of them that are here except for Neos. They're all great implants. You can get good results. But the things that are unique about Southern Implants have to do with this company's based on not just immediate placement, but immediate load. So I appreciate Dr. Boyce pointing out bone to implant contact. It's both torque and bone to implant contact that are important. So Southern has some unique designs, greater taper, replacing pterygoid implants in excess of 100 Newton centimeters constantly. Went down to Orca, no offense to Neodent, but we broke a couple of their fixture mounts, placing those implants, and are able to salvage them with the Southern system with the stronger titanium. A real unique concept with Southern is their coaxis implant, where the angle correction is built into the implant. If you look at that schematic on the upper left-hand side, green arrow on severely atrophic cases, you still get bone to implant contact with this
10
unique
seconds.
implant design in the sinus. And so this case, that's a bilateral cleft patient with minimal restorative space, we're able to place 4 zygomas and 2 pterygoids with minimum space and maximize
Okay,
both
time's
torque
up.
and bone.
Good job. Dr. Farley.
How's it going? All right, so I've got Noris, and I can almost say ditto with a lot of what's already been said, because if you look at the implant, it has a lot of the same features that promote primary stability, not just the self-cutting, but if you notice, the threads are getting thicker as it goes more coronally. In our practice, we're mostly all on 4, and to be honest, there are a couple cases that we have not been able to load in our career, but we get 97% successful loading on our full arch cases. And even when we don't load, it's usually just a couple implants that we missed out on. But we get stability, and I'm very happy with that stability.
Excellent. All right, Dr. Hogan.
All right. Yeah, Dr. Hogan, Atlantic Implant Institute, and Full Implant Choice. I'm using a S.I.N 360 system, and we're not just talking about one implant. We're not just talking about regular implants, which I would use Versalis for that, but we're talking about pterygoids and zygomatics and long implants all in one company. You look at the implant here, and we've got an aggressive macro geometry, tapered macro geometry, and we engage cortical bone early, and it performs exceptionally well in all bone types, type 1 through type 4. So I don't need a separate implant when I go to types 3 and 4. This Versalis is doing it for me with everything. You see the apical thread designs here, the cutting designs. They hit those cortical rims, everything you need from pterygoid to piriform, and you get great stability and everything. Everything I do at Full Implant Choice is immediate load. I'm a primary stability guy. I mean, I'm doing arches all the time. That's what my practice is all about, and I need
10
good
seconds.
stability. And I'm accustomed to getting 60 to 80 newtons in virtually every implant. And as a hockey reference, for those that know that played hockey, you don't win a face-off by hoping that the puck settles. You win it by the first contact, and that apex
Time's up.
has the greatest contact.
Good job. All right, Dr. Kubikian.
All right, so Nobel implants, they're created with primary stability in mind. So they're quite good for both soft and hard bone and designed for immediate early loading. Nobel was the first to receive the FDA clearance in the US for immediate function. And to me, I feel like they wrote the playbook in the US with decades of clinical work. There are tools for every bone quality. As an example, some people prefer N1. What I like about Nobel Active is the threads run all the way to the tip. So if I'm a hair off, I can redirect it or go deeper and still grab stability. But in my mind, I really only use one implant. I use the conical tapered implant. I can use it in really soft bone. I under prepare. I can chase by cortical if needed. And I'm targeting the toric I want for full arch. So from my point of view, I'm really happy with the research-backed results. Plus, the technique gets me the predictable stability and confidence to load when the case calls for it.
Excellent. All right, Dr. Smoler.
So, how's everyone doing? Smoler Smiles, founder of Smoler Express. I'm representing BioHorizons. 4 simple words: curved, reverse, buttress threads. That's all you need to know. I could talk about the compressive nature similar to Straumann or even Neodent and the angle as far as how it cuts. Imagine this, that the tip is actually designed to engage the cortical bone. You become a cortical bone sniper. It's like you're a cortical bone whisperer. It's amazing how you could engage it. And it basically is like the Red Sea parting just enough to get stability. And that's what it's about. You don't have to mess around with these other drills that you use in reverse and versa versa, whatever they're called. It's absolutely incredible that you can angle it, set it where you want it, and it is the best on the market for giving you initial implant stability, bar none.
Excellent. All right, so now we have a Q&A section. So do we have any questions popping up in the... We can move on? All right. Period 2. Oh, no. We need to run the poll. Okay, we have 30 seconds. So everybody who's watching this and viewing it, go ahead and throw in your votes.
We can't vote, Bruce, but I would have voted for you.
Well, you know, I agree. I would have voted for myself as well.
All right, voting is
The cortical bone
over.
whisperer, huh, Bruce?
That's right.
Love it.
Okay, moving on, period 2. So now we have up Dr. Boyse.
So in this system, I just like has been said with others, one implant I can do everything: soft bone, hard bone. I've got profilers. I've got properly shaped emergence healing abutments where the emergence is set from 1.5 millimeters above the platform, because my job as a referral-based specialist is to deliver an implant that any of my general dentists can use and get the results that they expect from me. So I'm performing every day for them and for their patients. And I've got to have the tools in my tool belt to know that I can deliver when they send a referral and ask me to do a specific thing. This is the most complete, most efficient, depth-specific drills. And like I said before, they're exactly matching the profilers, the taps match the implants, all the way through and through.
Excellent. Dr. Dunlop.
All right. It's hard to argue against the armamentarium simplicity of Neodent. It's one connection, basically one kit. I mean, I rarely have to even replace drills. They last forever. Maybe my pilot drills I replace every once in a while. There's try-in kits for basically everything. And the simplicity of being able to interchange between 3.5 all the way up to 7.0 with a single restorative connection. It really just simplifies the entire armamentarium, from the surgical protocol, which is very intuitive and very easy to use, to all of the placement instruments. It's all one connection and it's all one platform. So simplifies everything on the surgical and the restorative end for me.
Great. Dr. Egbert.
All right. Well, I had my assistants count up. Is my slide coming up? I had my assistants count up how many different brand surgical kits we have in the office, and we have over 13 in the last 15 years. And I've kind of settled with Southern. So you can see the kit itself is much more organized than a lot of them out there. And the neat thing about Southern is they're all about immediate load, immediation. So you don't have to get out another prosthetic kit. You have everything you need to both place implants and screw on your immediate provisional at the same time. Literature talks about not the dulling of burrs over time with the autoclave. These are titanium drills, so they don't dull, and also they can take up to 150 of torque. If winning the torque challenge, Southern has multiple studies that exceed 116 Newton centimeters on their implant placements with little to no bone loss. So that's it. Just out of strength and out of durability, I choose Southern.
Excellent. Right on 1 minute. Dr. Farley.
So Armamentarium for Noris, both the conventional guided surgical kits, they are built to be simple. Going to point out, I'm a guided surgery guy. I can argue against Ryan that with Neodent, when it's guided surgery, they do have 2 kits, which kind of sucked. But so I was happy to get back to 1 kit with the guided surgery. When we were looking to make the switch away from our previous company, Armamentarium was huge for us, especially because we like the guided surgery. We tried 5 different implant companies, did a couple arches with each, and not all kits are created equal, but we were very happy with the way that Noris did this with their guided stuff. They also have a very simple system for their guided. Companies like Straumann tend to overcomplicate their guided systems and make them more difficult. But Noris does a good job with that.
Dr. Hogan.
Yeah, great. S.I.N. 360, the S.I.N. The Armamentarium is simple here. Look, Armamentarium is, I've got 1 kit for everything except for Zygos. This kit here with the Versalis, you've got your pilot drills. You can keep on clicking, Brandon. You've got your, these are soft bone drills, and click again, those are hard bone drills. And then you see you've got long implant drills right here. So with my kit, I can do every implant except for a Zygo with 1 kit. And, I do, with my previous system, I seem to have a kit for every scenario, and including having to use other companies' implants as well to reach Zygos and pterygoids. And here I can do it all with just 1 system. And to make this more simple, I can take out, the drills, by the way, they're perfectly designed for that apex of that Versalis, so it's dummy proof. A beginner can do it. And for me, Armamentarium, it's like hockey sticks. You don't want to bring 20 hockey sticks to the bench. Like I think Nick said, he's got 13 kits in his office. I probably do too, but they're all in the cupboard. But you don't bring 20 sticks to the bench. You only bring the sticks that you trust in overtime. And this kit has it all. I only need 1 kit for everything.
Good job. All right, Dr. Kubikian.
So Armamentarium just means, do the clinicians have everything we need when a patient walks in? And with Nobel, the answer to me is yes. I can do anything from single tooth to zygoma. There's planning with DTX software, guided, navigated workflows, and restorative solutions that actually fit the way we work. There's also a premium brand responsibility piece I care about, because with Nobel having legacy prosthetics available, they have to monitor their safety and make sure restorative dentists can keep restoring it. Sometimes the overnight implant companies don't have that. And also manufacturing being in the US and Yorba Linda is a big deal, which is nice to have American-made products. I really love being able to back out the integrated implants with the kits. You might say, why would you do that? But a lot of times when patients come in with previous implants that now need for all-on-4, I can safely take them out quite easily. And I love my drill kit as well. I just use 1. It's the tapered kit. I can do any type of implant I need with that 1 kit.
Excellent. Dr. Smoler.
So let me tell you, we're not talking about Black and Decker days from when I got started. Oh my gosh, it's so easy these days. And let me tell you, opening a kit, listen, I'm a simple guy. I'm the only GP on the panel. I mean, I don't have a bunch of initials for specialties. I mean, I'm the basic guy here. So it's simple. And that's what I like. And that's what works. And so it's laid out easy. Things are color coordinated. And let me tell you, the color or the matte finish of the drills, we all have loops on, we all have powered lights, and you hit a shiny metal, you can't see where you're at. So the people who are brain guided or haptic robotic guidance, you really need to know where you're at. So BioHorizons has a matte finish on the drills, which makes it easy to see
10
exactly
seconds.
where you're at. So up, down, right, left, it's simple. The kit opens easily. You don't have to fumble around. So I like it simple and it
Right.
works.
Dr. Berridge.
Yeah, so common theme here with simpler and ease of use. With Dentsply, Sirona, simpler is smarter. A complex armamentarium doesn't make you more advanced. It typically just slows you down. So with Prime Taper EV, it's designed to fit into the consistent and familiar workflow as with AstraTech EV. Same logic, same color-coded steps for each implant size, similar to other brands. Same confidence before and after placement. This kit also has half-step drills located on the lower right of the implant cassette for easier under preparation for osteotomies, tailoring to increase torque when you need it, as well as a tap drills section on the lower left whenever we're using with higher density bone. So overall, main theme, simpler is smarter. You can use both the Prime Taper and the AstraTech EV implant system.
Thank you. All right. Are there any questions that need to be addressed in this section? There are no questions, so let's move on. We are in our third period. We're gonna
Voting.
Oh, sorry, voting.
Wow.
All right. So you have participants or attendees. You have 30 seconds. All right. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm going to end the poll now. Okay, so third period, we're going to talk about restorative ease here, and we're going to start off with, whoops, Dr. Dunlop.
Oh, well, this is where I think Neodent is the clear winner. The restorative ease of Neodent, having gone through, I don't know, 10 to 12 or 14 systems in my career, I've never come across a system that was as easy to restore, both on a single tooth overdenture and a full arch perspective as Neodent. As I mentioned before, this single platform from beginning to end, every single piece fits, and you can customize your emergence profile based on the healing abutments that you use. The multi-unit abutments are the best in the business, in my opinion, in terms of contour and seating. And you get an amazing soft tissue response to well-fitting, well-secured componentry. And so from start to finish, from single tooth all the way to full arch, one platform, one abutment, one time is the way to go.
Great. All right, Dr. Egbert, you're up.
Oh, good. So, as a dual trained prosthodontist, my goal for myself and for all my referring doctors is to make things as easy as possible. So, sure, one connection does make things easier, and we have that option with Southern. But what makes it even better is when you can place an implant at the bone angle and not compromise the prosthetic angle. So, the neat thing that Southern did way back in 2002 is incorporated the angle correction in the implant, which allowed us to get great bone to implant contact, place longer implants, but you never have to worry about a screw access coming through and size of ledge when these are placed correctly. The other neat thing, whether it's a single tooth, a multi-unit, or a full arch FP1, that's very important to have great emergence profiles on those too, but also removable. I've done so many that those days are over. If you use a coaxial southern implant, you can get parallelism even in a pyramidal, maxilla, and have a gorgeous overdenture for those
10
patients that can't
seconds.
afford full arch fixed. I'm done.
Perfect. Right on. All right, Dr. Farley.
I used to use systems that came in different sizes with, medium, small, large, all those, and it was fine. I am a particular person who gets into all those details, but to be honest, when the first time I used an implant system that had a single restorative size, I immediately fell in love with it. Not only does it mean that your inventory is easier to manage, but it just simplifies everything. You're always able to grab a part and know it fits and not need to worry about it. I think if you've done enough implants, you've all been there where the wrong part is going in the patient's mouth. It's either too big, too small. Could be the assistant just grabbed something wrong or something got mixed up. And also, as we have been using Noris for a while,
10
we
seconds.
do love their multi-unit abutments. Similar to some of the other companies, they went with the nice curved contours.
Excellent. Dr. Hogan.
Yeah, great. Restorative ease. I mean, I could echo a lot of the sentiments of the previous clinicians here, great clinicians, it's already been said. And to echo Ryan's thoughts, one platform for all your implants makes it so simple. My team knows what to get. They don't have to ask what size implant it is when they need to go get something to restore it for me and to bring me something. It's not RP, NP, WP, this, that, different sizes. It's all one size, just like the Neodent line. But, so it's really straightforward. And anybody who knows the conical connection can do that. It's just really, really very simple. This simplifies your impression taking, your digital workflow. And by the way, the MUA emergence and the components have this clean profile that just make everything seamlessly fit. You can see it right there with their MUAs. It's very forgiving on the bone and soft tissue, very easy to drop in. And so, I mean, it's so simple that, my team can do it and, and I can trust them to do it and verify, so it doesn't really take like
10
a master
seconds.
clinician. This was designed really for anybody doing full arch, for simplicity of restoration. And so it's a very familiar system. Everybody can get used to it.
All right. Thank you. Dr. Kubikian.
Restoring should be plug and play, not the scavenger hunt. And I think everybody agrees with that. The conical connection for Nobel is quite tight, and the portfolio for the screw retained is deep. The angulated screw channel definitely gives the restorative doctors I'm working with a clean access path without compromising the aesthetics. This spring, Nobel is rolling out a leaner concave emergence profile and moving to the single platform that everyone just mentioned. So this way, scan bodies, drivers, parts stay consistent. I always wonder, and this is just me, for those big molars, I actually prefer a wider connection. That may just be my clinical feeling, but I'm okay with that. And then generally fewer parts to juggle, better tissue contours, and easier delivery for me and the referring dentists.
Excellent. All right, Dr. Smoler.
So let me tell you, it's just unbelievable how simple it is. And something that BioHorizon has that no one else has is they've got an ace up your sleeve with Vulcan Dental. So they have a whole separate components of a lab that can customize whatever you want. So we're talking about full arch, but you know what? How about single units where you could buy everything you need, bundled together, start to finish, restorative ease? It becomes a cookbook. And instead of the granimals mixing and matching and what color is this and what color is that, different screws for all different levels of a restorative platform, it is so simple. And the best part, is it's right in front of you. You don't have to worry about what driver to use, where it's at. It's in a kit. It's right there. My assistants know intuitively exactly
10
what to
seconds.
do and have it. So why choose anyone else but the U.S. American brand of BioHorizons?
Dr. Berridge.
All right. In my mind, restorative ease isn't about shortcuts. It's about the predictability of the overall case. And for those of you that are starting out, simply interested in placing single implants or a full arch case, in streamlining your case workup, the Dentsply DS Signature workflow includes virtual surgery for implant placement, guide fabrication, a 48-hour time turnaround with the fast-tracking ordering. And today, nowadays, 47% of labs state that impression quality is their top challenge when creating and fabricating these prostheses. So the Prime Scan is now twice as fast, scanning a full arch in 1 minute, increasing accuracy, allowing for scanning of shining materials or surfaces, all decreasing the treatment time and lab turnaround. Patient satisfaction
10
increases.
seconds.
Non-productive chair time decreases, all due to this signature workflow. So if you have ever said, the lab will figure it out, this slide's for you.
Dr. Boyce.
The Zimvie system has the original encode healing abutment. They hold those patents. And so it's a one abutment, one time. It can put it on at surgery. We scan cases at the time of surgery with proper bone and soft tissue preservation. We can have the restoration ready to go in the mouth 6 to 8 weeks after. If you don't have an intraoral scanner, you can take a PVS impression of the top of that encoded abutment. Your lab can digitize it and do it that way. And so nothing has to come on, go off, just verify with an x-ray that it's down, and anybody can do it. Super simple. There are also scan bodies and impression copings if you have a workflow that does that too.
Excellent. All right. And I'm guessing we don't have any questions in the Q&A. All right. So let's do that poll. For restorative ease, attendees have 30 seconds to put your votes in. Fifteen seconds remaining. And that's it. Okay. Period 4. Let's talk about the elephant in the room, cost. And first up, we have Dr. Egbert.
Oh, good. I'm excited about this one. So cost is relative to what you're able to do with these implants and your net profit in your practice. And so Southern makes implants ranging from 3 millimeters wide to 9 millimeters wide, from 6 millimeters long to 60 millimeters long. So you really do have the most number of implants at your disposal to accomplish a one surgery one time. And when you can do that and exude that confidence to patients, I've noticed a higher acceptance rate come up. The other neat thing about Southern is our implantability software license program that helps doctors save on taxes. And so no implant company has ever done this, but what we're able to do is use a patented process with a software license that can save doctors upwards of $200,000 in taxes. So what I like to do is take the 289, which seems a little steep, and that saving $200,000 a year in taxes can buy you 692 implants at retail, or double that if you're a
10
high volume
seconds.
doctor. So it's all about the whole picture and being able to provide great results to patients in the least amount of time.
Excellent. Dr. Farley.
So cost is a big one for us. I practice in Arizona, and it is the land of the arches here. There's implant center on every corner. And when we were using Neodent, we absolutely loved them. Great company, great implant. but the cost was killing us. And when we were asked by our CPA, can we provide just as good of a product with another less expensive implant? We thought about it and said, we definitely can. And that's what made us start looking and trying it with a bunch of different systems. And the thing we loved about Noris is that it is a less expensive than many of the big boys, but it has everything that all the other implant companies have, going from small all the way up to zygos, wide variety of just
10
everything.
seconds.
Sorry, I'm getting off of cost. So cost was the reason that we started using Noris, and it has been a decision we have not regretted.
Dr. Hogan.
Right. Yeah. Cost. I mean, this is what kind of brought me to S.I.N 360 in the first place. I mean, I was previously with Neodent, was doing fine, doing great. But, I'm scaling a full arch practice here. S.I.N came in, we did the test arches, everything turned out great, 100% integration. And I realized I could save about $140,000 a year by making the switch and get the same results. I mean, not everybody listening here gets the same discounts this panel gets. People are doing I'm doing arches for $600-700 an arch. People at Neodent are doing it for $1,200 an arch or more. And then in other legacy systems, they're doing it for $2,000, $2,500 an arch. And what are you going to do with $700 or $1,700? The legends, the legacies built the rink, but today's game is fast, and you got to be lean and mean. What are you going to do with that extra money? And I can show you ways to narrow your inventory and save more money all the way around. People assume that lower cost means lower quality, but that's assuming that your price is reflecting your engineering, which is not. It does not take into account that corporate overhead and the other things that you're paying for. When you get down to the nuts and bolts, you want just the implant.
All right, Dr. Kubikian.
There's cost and there's associated value. You're not just paying for titanium. Costs are usually higher for the premier developed products because of the obvious. They have to innovate. As an example, I'm a periodontist, so I'm focused in on hard and soft tissue health. With the Zeal surface, research shows accelerated healing with more attached gingiva. With product development, you have to have stricter material specs, tighter tolerances, and real clinical evidence. But that's not my only reason. I have a pet favorite. Nobel is the only implant system specifically educating the private practice dentists, restorative dentists, referral-based specialists to understand how to take a fragmented market like the all-on-4, and instead of losing the patients to the corporate behemoths or those charging $8,000 an arch, Nobel teaches the community how to keep the continuity of care for these patients in the private practice setting by teaching the secrets and protocol to get general dentists comfortable to refer the all-on-4 to private practice specialists. No other implant company is doing that. So you're not just buying titanium the same way you're not buying a keypad for an alarm system. You're buying the security, and I need that.
Hey, Dr. Smoler.
So let me tell you what's going on. Nothing good is cheap, and nothing cheap is good unless you bundle. So it's great for your car insurance, and it's also amazing for your BioHorizons implants. When you bundle, you get everything stacked together. I mean, I can't tell you the times my office administrator says, yeah, we just got 75 MUAs for free. And nowadays, instead of 12 months and you got to have a debit card, they now accept credit cards. So I'm going to go on a nice trip in the end of the year with all the miles that I get. It's amazing because it's like planting a money tree and having BioHorizons spread the wealth throughout your office. It's absolutely fantastic.
Hey, Dr. Berridge.
So a lot of statements and discussion on cost savings and increased profitability, but these focus usually on like the bottom line and the invoice, but not the aftermath. So the true cost includes chair time, complications, remakes, bone loss, compromised aesthetics, and leading to lost patient confidence. So the Dentsply Prime Taper EV costs less over time because it's built to last. Clinically, biology, biologically proven to have the least amount of bone loss comparatively to the other premium companies. And with this cost in mind, take a step back and thinking as a business owner and not a clinician, always consider this 5-to-1 ratio, where it takes 5 successful cases to make up for the loss of a single failed implant due to the cost of lost opportunity, the cost of new
10
materials,
seconds.
appointments, and chair time. So the overall lesson here is cheap implants are expensive teachers.
Thank you. Dr. Boyce.
I would echo many of those thoughts. I'm a referral-based specialist. I use a premium company. I get premium support. I think the most beneficial thing that we do in our community is educate our referring dentists and to help them become better dentists and raise the level of dentistry in our community. The Zimvie does have value brand implants. They also have premium implants, so you can go either way. But to me, I've had the same rep for 20 years. Excellent support. He supports me. He supports my referring doctors. He supports their staff and supports our patient. So it's the value. I agree with Dr. Kubikian. That's why I pay that higher price.
Excellent. Thank you. Dr. Dunlop.
Yeah, so I have had the pleasure and the privilege of educating doctors on implant dentistry for a very long time, and I have connections to clinics all over the country in 43 states. So I am hearing constant feedback of why people are using Neodent as their preferred implant, and I can tell you that there are things that are much more valuable than the cost that per unit on implants. And I've been to symposiums for other systems where all they do is focus on how to peel away Neodent customers based on cost. And I think that is a pretty silly premise because clinical outcomes and ease of use and long-term stability are way more valuable than the cost of an implant per unit. So the ability of full arch masters doctors all over the country to use, I think, approximately 130,000 Neodent implants over the last 4 years. I'm able to track their
10
usage.
seconds.
I'm able to track their returns, and it's astronomical savings for those clinics.
Excellent. Thank you. All right. Any questions in the queue?
We do have one question.
One question.
All right. So it came a little late, but the question came from Patrick Fitzgerald.
We have a question from Patrick Fitzgerald. What's that? So we have a question about the longevity, how long the companies have been around, and the longevity of the company. And I think that's a really good question to address, but I'm going to ask everybody to address that in the customer service section. I think that's a pretty appropriate place to answer that question. So we're going to go ahead and do our poll. And attendees have 30 seconds to cast their vote for who had the better response for cost. 15 seconds remaining. And 5 seconds. And we're ending the poll now. All right, so here we are. Now we're going to talk about the quality of the implant, which is also attached to cost. So first up, we have Dr. Nate Farley.
Yeah. So I kind of spoke to this before when we had to ask ourselves if we could provide similar quality with a less expensive implant. And at the time, the thought is the prosthetics. Like that's what I was thinking is, can we still do our prosthetics at a good quality with a different implant? But as we started looking into different systems and trying different systems and seeing the results of all the different systems, I found that while Noris is a less expensive option on the market, their quality is very high. They have a grade 5 alloy 23 titanium The surface they use is a resorbable blast media, so basically hydroxyapatite that gets you a really nice surface. We get really good integration, even if we were to start with low torque. By the time we're checking it a few months later, everything is good. And honestly, as a prosthodontist looking at the system, I'm very happy. Am I out of time?
Out of time.
I didn't hear the 10-second warning.
Sorry.
No worries.
Adam.
Oh, yeah, excuse me. Sorry. Yeah, quality. Look, quality is all about consistency and success. And I am getting that every day. You know, I've been on S.I.N 360 for a year and a half now, and I'm getting the same success I was getting in the previous 5 years with my previous system. You know, we've got, a broad implant lineup. We've got great quality fitting parts. Everything's tight. You know, when I go back and I place my arches at surgery and I go back and I check my MUAs, 12, 16 weeks later, everything's tight. Nothing's loose. That's a key indicator right there. Opponents might say, well, it hasn't been around a long time. It's not a legacy brand. Well, that's just in the United States. S.I.N has decades of international data. It's not just U.S. market marketing bias, so very good quality products, proven track record for a lot longer than just in the United States. And I found clinically that I have all the success now that I previously had.
Perfect. Great. Thank you. Dr. Kubikian.
FDA cleared doesn't equal quality and requires bare regulatory minimums. That's hard to hear, but it happens to be true. Nobel's strict manufacturing tolerances, tight fits, material choices, avoid the leakage and loosening, favoring the patient long-term with higher internal standards. And a lot of this is said with research. So the challenge, admittedly, of any implant company, which is newer, is they're relying on what they're feeling and what they're doing and not so much on the research. And it's a tough market. But they're using, Nobel uses commercially pure grade 4 titanium strengthened with cold working, strict selection rather than titanium aluminum alloy, and careful surface treatments to avoid the residual blasting media typically present on other types of surfaces. So overall, I think that if this implant works in every country in the world, which is not true, unfortunately, with some of the value brands, they actually can't be placed in certain countries for insurance reimbursement.
Dr. Smoler.
Great. So let me tell you about the quality. I mean, aside from the company that's been around for decades, and I've been with them back when it was the Mish Maestro external hex. So the company has evolved, and there used to be dabbling grade 4, grade 5, but it's not just grade 5 titanium. Look for the initials ELI. That's a special process, costs more money, takes more effort to get a more commercially pure form of titanium. So people will talk about the different numbers. You have to remember, it's grade 23. Think Michael Jordan, and you're going to get the best all-around implant system.
Oh, Bruce.
Thank you. Dr. Berridge.
When I think of quality, a lot of people get confused when they see how polished a brochure is or a marketing campaign. But it's really about how boring and predictable your follow-ups are. Now, with Dentsply Sirona, they lead the industry through innovation and with an impressive CV. The implant surface, OsseoSpeed, was the first chemically modified implant surface. And in today's market, it's hard to find an implant that doesn't have a chemically modified surface. They were the first to incorporate internal conical connection, which is now the industry norm. And most importantly, this implant has shown to have the least amount of marginal bone loss comparatively to the market, which is the whole purpose of a dental implant, is the lasting results. So speaking of research, these implants have been tested in over 1,100 studies. And with Dentsply Sirona, they were formed in the 1800s, 1899, well over 100 years. and is one of the largest companies worldwide for implants.
Dr. Boyce. Thank you, Dr. Berridge.
I wish that quality was more of a topic, especially when it comes to restorative dentists and lab technicians. I think this is a conversation more about non-OEM parts, because that's where things get off track. And without that quality focus, using OEM parts on OEM implants, I think the standards are probably pretty fair across the board. But labs charge more for OEM, even though the cost difference really isn't that much. And it really affects the success of the implants with micro leakage, screw loosening, screw breaking. And so I think this is a big deal, but many times price, especially when it leaves my hands into the restorative offices, gets overrun, or quality gets overrun by price. And so I think we can't overlook that. I think if we're looking for true long-term results, we need to focus on quality more.
Thank you. Dr. Dunlop.
Great. Yeah, so personally, my success with Neodent implant is very high, as it is with probably all the clinicians on this panel. But quality really is a reflection of long-term success, right? And so again, if implants fail in the mouth, or they're dropped, or there's any type of recall or defective product history, I would be hearing about it, because like I said, I am in contact with clinicians that are placing 130,000 implants over the last couple of years, and about 350,000 prosthetic screws that have anchored arches around the country and around the world. So to see return rates on implants and complications at less than 1% on that kind of volume, I think speaks volumes to the quality that Neodent puts out. And the research and the manufacturing and the quality control speaks for itself, just based on that volume.
Great. Thank you. Dr. Egbert.
Yeah, I appreciate what Dr. Dunlop just said about volume, but it's also over time. So you don't realize the quality of your implants and your components for quite some time. Saw a case today that I did 14 years ago with Southern implants that still all the screws were tight, little to no bone loss throughout the mouth. So you really start to see the negative situations after 5 years. But I knew I'd be the only lame one to put some literature on here. But it's important, when I did my master's in residency, to find non-biased information. And so when you look at independent studies, quality, I think, can be related to the tolerance of fit. And there's a great study that shows that Southern Implants has the best tolerance of fit, and that comes from a group of engineers. Even their marketing team are engineers. So if you look at that image at the very top, that's a competitor with hundreds of milling machines. And what people don't realize is after each implant, these machines need to be calibrated. If you look at the far right picture, that's Graham Blackbeard, owner of Southern Implants, that has the machinist at every machine every day. And so he doesn't just let implants get made overnight, because the tolerances aren't the same. And if you want to see this, come down to South Africa in March. I was going to show a video of a great white shark in a cage. You can do that while you're down there and see it for yourself.
Thank you. All right. Any questions here? Will? No questions. All right, let's do a poll. We have 30 seconds, so participants or attendees, go ahead and cast your votes. We have 15 seconds remaining. And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Going to end the poll now. We're going to move on to the next topic, bone maintenance. We're going to start off with Dr. Nate Farley.
Thank you so much. Bone maintenance. So with Noris, they recently came out with a conical connection. I'm going to be honest, before they came out with a conical connection, we were not interested in them because it was a hex connection, which is something we do not like. Why do we like a conical connection? So with a conical connection, you get a good seal between the implant and the abutment, and you prevent microleakage, you prevent movement. All those things are going to affect the ability to keep bone. That as well as a platform switch. I love a platform switch, and I would never want to use an implant that does not provide that. I'm guessing most people have that. All implants can lose bone. Sometimes I would say it's often our fault or the patient's fault. Rarely the implant's fault, in my opinion. But we get the results we want from Noris, and so we're very happy.
Thank you. Dr. Hogan.
Yeah, great. I mean, I love talking about bone maintenance and the connection. I mean, this is the reason I got into Morris taper implants in the first place. Going back to Bicon implants almost 15 or 20 years ago, you know, it got me into Neodent, then got me into S.I.N, the conical connection. I believe it is important. Those that have heard me speak, I talk about how important it is to have a good conical connection and a platform switch and a properly tapered abutment. But placing the proper implant at the proper depth, placing it properly with the right abutment, these are all the keys. You're resisting micro motion. You're resisting that stress at the crest. It's very, very important. Anybody can have a case that looks like a home run at 6 months, but 1 year, 10 years, 15 years, that's all going to come down to engineering and the connection. And that conical connection is very, very important. Where you place it, how you restore it, equally important as well. So it takes a properly engineered implant like the S.I.N implant with an educated clinician who knows what they're doing and has seen their own long-term results.
Great, thank you. Dr. Kubikian.
So long-term bone comes from respecting the biology and mechanics, placing the implant subcrestally when you can, a tight conical connection with platform switch. And so to me, the implant surface also matters, minimally rough, hydrophilic design, aimed at stability over time. And let's not forget the restorative side. Contacts, cleanability, absolutely change the bone behavior. So put it together, you protect the crest instead of chasing it. And so the focus to me is minimally rough, hydrophilic body surfaces for long-term bone behavior and protected abutment surfaces for soft tissue. Place it subcrestal, platform switch, and you can really protect the crest. I'm reasonably confident. It sounds like everybody is, but I'm reasonably confident I'm able to maintain the bone, and that's really important to me.
Great. Thank you. Dr. Smoler.
So it's a given that you need to maintain the bone. And it's based upon a lot of the things everyone's talked about. How you place the implant into the bone, not so much when we're cortical snipers, but at the crest. And when you're able to have a tapered area at the top of the implant being more narrow than the body, you're going to have a bigger volume of bone at the crest, whether it's crestal with a tapered platform, which also has platform switching. Let's be serious about it. And especially with the conical connection. It's just fantastic because what you're really looking at is all different platforms that you could purchase, and they all have the same design to allow the bone to be as strong from a macro and micro structure of the surface. It all comes
10
down
seconds.
to respecting the bone and keeping the bone at the crest as big and as solid as possible.
Thank you. All right, Dr. Berridge.
All right, bone maintenance. This is where the evidence gets a little awkward for other implant companies. When you evaluate a product, surgical technique, you review the evidence provided. And this is a tier system from minimal to moderate to tier 1, from expert opinion to a cohort study, leading to a systematic review and meta-analysis, which is presented here. So in 2020, a 5-year study of bone loss comparing Dentsply, Sirona, Nobel, Biocare, and Straumann, Nobel Biocare showed 3 times as much bone loss, Straumann 2 times over Dentsply, Sirona, meaning that you can really depend and rely on this implant for long-lasting success. I don't know if any of you do any shooting, but reviewing the image on the lower right, I graduated from 3rd Group Special Forces Sniper School on Fort
10
Bragg,
seconds.
and two fundamental elements are accuracy and precision. And looking at that slide, you can see that Dentsply Sirona is predictable, all on target, with both accuracy and precision of bone loss.
Hey. Dr. Boyse.
This implant system is unique in this that it has a more roughened surface in the mid-body and apex, and a more fine etched surface toward the coronal aspect. I think our profession has somewhat gone mad with CBCTs. Everybody's got one. Everybody's placing implants. And I think it has more to do with what you do when you place the implant, how you place the implant. This is a patient of mine who I've been treating for 15, 16 years. And it's really fun to have him come back and get his next implant. You see implants side by side. You have every one of these has bone at or above the level of the platform still. Even the 16-year-old implants, you can see 13-year-old, 11-year-old. And this patient obviously didn't take care of his teeth to begin with, or he wouldn't be in the spot. And so even in the face of somebody who has a challenge cleaning,
10 seconds.
if we treat these sites, we do proper pre-implant therapy procedures and get the bone in the right place, it will stay.
Excellent. Thank you. Dr. Dunlop.
Right. So bone maintenance, gosh, this is such a popular topic amongst Neodent users because we all revel in the fact that Neodent is pretty much the leader for bone maintenance around the collar of implants. We talk a lot about platform switch. We talk a lot about connection. We talk a lot about subcrestal placement. We talk a lot about surface. But really, it's the archer, not the arrow. And all implants can maintain bone when they are placed correctly. But it's better to have a sharp arrow and a fine-tuned eye and the right armamentarium if you're going to become an expert archer. So if you look at some of these pictures, you can see bone loss around some of these other implants. I have done a lot of revision cases in my career, and I have removed a lot of implants, and I'm happy to say that I have not had to remove very many Neodent implants at all in my career because they do maintain bone long term. Back in the days when bone loss was expected, I don't expect bone loss around my implants anymore. And
10
that's the
seconds.
main reason why I think I've settled on Neodent for such a long time is the bone maintenance based on those characteristics that I mentioned before.
Thank you. Dr. Egbert.
All right, well said, Dr. Dunlop. It's not the archer, it's not the arrow, it's the archer, but it also has to do with the target, which is the patient. And we have varying degrees of patient compliance. And so what Southern does that's unique is they make what's called site-specific implants, meaning implants for molars. You can see the article on the second from the right there, 0.19 millimeters of average bone loss. It's 67 months. And most of the studies that we see are only a year or two. Then we move into, so we've got an implant specific for the molars. We have them for the anterior. We have this funny looking implant that you see on the far right that I've helped publish studies on with Dr. Stephen Chu and Dennis Tarnow called the Inverta implant. And everything that these doctors have said between platform switch and everything else is correct. Southern also has a body switch so that you don't place these implants too close to the facial plate. The unique thing that we've found is doing this machine smoother surface at the coronal third helps people. If we look back at Brandemark years, there was a 2.5% periimplantitis incidence, and now we've got up to a 43. So we went back to the original easy to clean design where it counts the most with Southern.
Awesome. Thank you very much. We do have a question?
Yes, we have two.
Two questions.
First one, Dr. Kubikian.
Okay, Dr. Kubikian, this one's for you.
How would you address questions where one clinician sees more bone loss with Nobel implants and less with others, as you've been slides?
Yeah, so Dr. Kubikian, how do you address the question that one clinician will have an observation of more bone loss around a Nobel implant than another, like a Dentsply implant?
Yeah, I had the same exact question. And I was wondering if whatever that study was citing was on which version of a Nobel implant, because I wasn't sure if it was the ones from like 20 years ago, the trilobes, or if it was something more recent. So I actually have the same question as the person asking it.
Great. Yeah. Okay. Excellent. Second question. Will's going to unmute himself and ask it.
All right, next question. Next question. It's for Dr. Dunlop. Has the surgical placement technique changed over time to improve bone maintenance? How do different restorative protocols affect bone maintenance? Example, delayed loading actually related to more crestal loss?
Yeah, great question. I think that just like anything else, our clinical protocols are evolving, just like our implants and our abutments and our armamentarium is evolving as well. I started my career placing implants at the crest with internal hex configurations, and I came to just accept bone loss. Now I am placing implants subcrestal with deep conical connections and using, kind of the one abutment, one time philosophy where I'm placing abutments at the time of implant fixture placement and getting far superior clinical outcomes. So it's kind of like a seesaw. Our parts and pieces get better, and then our clinical outcomes get better, and then our parts and pieces get better, and then our clinical outcomes get better. And that's why we're all here to debate the excellence of all of these products.
Thank you. All right, let's throw up a poll and have the attendees vote for the best response there. We have 30 seconds on the clock. Fifteen seconds remaining. Five, two, one. Gonna end the poll now. Somehow I've lost my mouse, actually.
Penalty.
Broken stick.
Oh, man.
Cross-checking.
I'll show you a cross check, Bruce.
Got my head on swivel.
All right, Dr. Hogan, you are up.
Yes.
The topic here is soft tissue health. All right.
Yeah. Soft tissue health. I love this topic, but there's so many variables about this topic that come into it. Are you keeping health from the bottom up, the top down, or is it in the middle, that connection? Is it the implant and the components? So what do I mean by that? The surgeon is so very important in soft tissue health, from the top down, incision lines, closure, KG, grafts, all that. Very, very important. You can't overlook it. I think it's probably the most paramount thing, but I mean, it has to be said. I know we're talking about implants. From the bottom up, we got to go back and look at the bone health. If you lose crestal bone, you lose tissue. Everyone knows that the bone sets the tone of the tissue. So we've got to maintain the bone. That's bottom up health of tissue. And so conical connections are very important. I think conical is now the standard, if not the standard of care. It's not proprietary. I think it's mainstream at this point in time. So now we look at the implants. What are the components? What is that? Do you have micromotion? Do you have micro gaps? Do you have bacteria?
10 seconds.
Do you have stress at the crest? Are you losing bone and then losing tissue later? Do you have that cold weld? And S.I.N. definitely has it.
Thank you. All right, Dr. Kubikian.
As a periodontist, this is near and dear. And so what I feel like is a really good idea is that the surfaces of these multi-units have this Zeal coating, which is a protected anodized surface. So when the abutment is on the shelf, it's not actually aging. And clinically, that helps the tissue seal earlier, and we're seeing more keratinized tissue versus the machine surfaced in split mouth trials. So if you pair that with the new leaner concave emergent profiles, which I think the entire implant industry is doing, it gives the tissue the room that it deserves. And if you set the site up for a healthier, easier maintenance, I think that's the way to go. Matter of fact, I think there's a study which should be coming out very shortly showing that when you have a specific modification of the abutment surface, to help with the keratinized soft tissue height, meaning when you use Zeal versus machine, the
10
Zeal
seconds.
side actually winds up with more keratinized soft tissue and less bacteria in the sulcus.
Thank you. Dr. Smoler.
I can't wait to talk about soft tissue health because no one else has smart shape scannable healers. What is that? That allows patients to smile with single implants, full arch FP1s, and you're developing the emergence profile. Listen, we're all here. We got great implants. We've got surface coatings. We all have our proprietary specials. No one else has a way to develop sexy emergence profiles because you want that patient to smile and not be able to tell which implant or which tooth is an implant or a natural tooth. The way that's done is by managing and handle the emergence profile of the tissue, whether it's a single implant, whether it's a bridge, whether it's a full mouth. And sometimes you can sneak it when you have your transition line above the smile line.
10
But
seconds.
when you have it come down to it, that sexy smile deserves smart shape scannable healers.
Dr. Berridge.
Yeah, so soft tissue health is one of my favorite topics. In our business, soft tissue health and aesthetics isn't optional. In the aesthetic zone, it presents your patient's personality, their smile, and what the industry uses as a marker of success. The Dentsply Sirona Prime Taper gives you the confidence and proven track record with its least amount of marginal bone loss, which then affects the soft tissue. And the connective contour of the abutment interface creates that space for the soft tissue to mature as well as stabilize, all leading to an aesthetic result. Our practice is one of three of beta testing the Prime Taper implant. And the case shown here is one I completed in 2021 when the Prime Taper was first introduced. Tooth number 8 is a full coverage crown, and tooth number 9, or site number 9, was an immediate implant.
10 seconds.
In 4 years running, you can still appreciate the pink gingiva, no erythema, and full knife edge papillas.
Thank you. Dr. Boyce.
Like I said before, having the correct implant with the correct surface at the crest of the implant is huge. But secondarily, developing the sites. And so you can see the pre-op on this patient. This is a scary patient, right? We got frenum problems, we got recession everywhere in the mouth. And I think as a top performing specialist in implants, we have to diagnose the entire mouth. We have to convert tissue that is not proper. We have to develop the sites around our implants so that we can help the patients get the results that they want. She was referred for implants 9 and 10. Nothing on the referral said anything about soft tissue work. But this is something that I think if you want to practice at the top tier, you have to know how to do everything. And this is a great result. You can see this is a 6-year follow-up, and you can see the bone. And if the bone's there in buttress format, the soft tissue will stay as well. Side-by-side implants as well.
Yeah, thank you. Challenging case. Dr. Dunlop.
Okay, soft tissue health is really like the frosting on this gigantic cake, right? So we build this cake with implant designs and connections and surfaces and clinical protocols, but the gingiva health is just the part that you see, right? And so it's built upon a pyramid of success, and that's where I think Neodent excels, is all of these things that contribute to the ultimate prize, which is soft tissue health. Neodent incorporates all of those things. The connection, as we've mentioned, the platform switch, all of these things, and placing the ability to place the implant and place the abutment at the same time, have a long-term scenario where you guide the healing and maximize your healthy connective tissue around the collar of your implant. That has been the game changer for me. Instead of reacting to the profile of
10
the soft
seconds.
tissue and restoring to it, I am now able to guide my healing around my implant and have control over that. Whereas in the past with other systems, I was only forced to react to it.
Great, thank you. Dr. Egbert.
All right. So after doing this for 15 years now, it's humbling sometimes to see results come back long term. And I've seen bone preservation around all the implants on this board, and I've seen bone loss around all of them. And a lot of it has to do with patient compliance and, of course, patient health over time. So it's important to know that these complications double in percentages by year 10. And so if we don't have a protective mechanism built into the implant, if a patient were to get sick or be non-compliant, lose bone, then we've got a problem. So what Southern does is they put a smoother surface on the coronal third. It integrates just as well according to the literature. But if the patient does lose bone and tissue, then we have something that's easier for them to clean. Also, it's important to know that we have 3.6 millimeters on average of healthy tissue around these implants. So what's bothersome in my practice, if you look at that top clinical picture, we've got tissue loss around a 30-degree multi-unit angle correcting abutment. If we contrast that with the lower picture, those are the coaxis implants that we can put shorter abutments on that appreciate the biology of that 3.6 millimeters of tissue. So some of these long abutments are never going to have tissue over them long term. Not a chance.
Thank you. Dr. Farley.
It's fun being at the end of hearing everybody's responses. It sounds like most of us, outside a few exceptions, are saying all the same things. With what I was going to say about Noris is to speak again to the conical connection to avoid microgap, microleakage, in favor of not just the bone health like we just talked about, but also soft tissue health. We recently added a periodontist to our practice, and he had not used Noris before joining us, and it's fun and interesting to see him pick it up, having never used it before, and yet is seeing the same results that he was doing with the big name brands. And so
Great. Thank you. All right. Will, any questions?
We sure do. We have a question for Dr. Dunlop. Do you also use Neodent for single implants? Does Neodent offer a custom abutment similar to Atlantis if you wanted to restore the implant in that fashion?
Yeah, so I have done multiple immediate aesthetic zone implants on my own father-in-law, and his front tooth is a Neodent immediate load implant I did a few years ago. I tend to use mostly screw-retained restorations. I like the retrievability and the cleansability of that. I know that you can mill custom abutments from blanks, even angled custom abutments now. You can mill them in-house or send them out. But I really love the screw-retained aspect of Neodent's system. I can have an angle changed tie base that gives me up to, I think it's 30 or even 40 degrees of angle correction. So the ability to do that, even on an immediate load scenario, I will place an implant, scan it with a scan body, and have my lab design and print a monolithic angle corrective crown, which is just fantastic. So yes, I do use Neodent on single implants, even in the aesthetic zone. And in fact, it's one of my preferred implants for that indication.
Thank you. Anything else? All right, moving on. We're in the 8th period. So now we're going to talk about inventory management.
Voting.
Oh, I always forget the voting. All right, throw up the poll. 30 seconds. Anybody in attendance? You have 30 seconds to vote in your favorite response. 15 seconds remaining. All right. I'm going to end the poll. And inventory management. First up is Dr. Kubikian.
I think you're following a trend where it's nice to have implant companies around for a while because they could copy the best of what each other does. And You'll notice that a lot of the companies, including Nobel, are going to this one platform. So you have less parts, less drivers. And what's nice is you don't need a new surgical kit for that. It's simple prosthetics. And what I really like is I'm given the ability to rely on an RFID cabinet. If you don't know what that is, it's amazing because as you use the product, they magically reappear in the mail a couple of days later. So for inventory control, it is ideal. It totally takes care of all of my expenses and I don't need to carry extra product. So to me, that's really nice. I think there's also consignment for the larger accounts. Also, those cases, Dr. Boyse and Dr. Berridge, holy cow, they were awesome looking cases. I had extra time. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Dr. Smoler.
Well, you know, Dan has it right. It's like magic. On the side of our building, it says where dental magic happens. I don't have to worry at all about inventory management. I walk into the operatory, the surgical suite, everything I need is right there. I tell you, it's a miracle. And it's not because of anything I have to do. It's my team, it's BioHorizon. Shout out to Kevin Cooper. We have a well-oiled team that gets me what I want whenever I want it. And actually, my dream team knows what I want before I even ask for it. And that's what you want. No worries, no problems. It truly is magic.
Thank you, Dr. Berridge.
Yeah, with Dentsply Sirona being a USA-based company, I think overall a implant system with everyone that this panel has been talking about tonight, it's only as good as its availability 5 years from now, right? So having this US-based supply chain, most components show up when you need them, not when they're back ordered from another continent. So the components are consistent with the long history of the EV family due to the same internal connection, which provides peace of mind knowing that your surgical, restorative, your parts and pieces show up and they show up whenever you purchase them and they stay and they're here to stay. Overall consistency builds confidence for you and for your patients. So this is something that we don't really have to worry about in our practice since we went through, obviously, the consignment process with Dentsply Sirona. They're here for us.
Awesome. Thank you, Dr. Boyce.
I already touched on this, but one implant for all types of bone. Simple, very simple nomenclature. Great packaging so that it can be easily stored and easily visualized. We can open one cupboard and see everything we have. And then if we need something, if we get our order in by 4 p.m. Eastern, we have it by 9 o'clock the next morning. And so American-based, American-made, American-stocked is a big deal for us.
Great. Thank you. Dr. Dunlop.
Great. Inventory management. Again, simplifying, like everybody else has said, one connection. I don't have to sit and think about, do I have my NP abutments, my RP abutments, my WP abutments? I just need to stock one part system that goes on top of my implants. Literally in my entire practice, where we do thousands of dental implants all year long, I have dental implants in 1, 2, 3, 4 sizes, and then I like to have rescue sizes in smaller quantities. I have some long implants, short implants, zygos. I have everything that I need from a dental implant spectrum in one cabinet, and then I stock 4 sizes of MUAs. I have straights, I have 17s, 30s, and 45s of various heights. I have one scan body for the entire system. So in my entire practice, I have 5 scan bodies that we just sterilize and reuse. So
10
the
seconds.
inventory has gone from cabinets and rooms full of stuff when I used other systems down to one singular cabinet.
Awesome. Dr. Egbert.
All right. So inventory management I love to talk about with Southern implants because they have site-specific implants. A lot of companies are excited to release their first pterygoid or their new zygomatic implant, and Southern's been on the forefront of all of these specialty implants for the longest time. In fact, a lot of people don't realize they make Straumann's zygomatic implants. So currently, Southern has 3 different types of pterygoid implants, 7 different types of zygomatic implants. I guess you could say 9 if you count Straumann's. In a case like the one at the bottom, who, if you were to force this patient into an 83, remove all of her pre-existing implants, it would have forced her into zygos. So it's really nice to have these different sizes and shapes of implants that other companies aren't willing to make, so you can pull off these unique, tricky cases. And if you don't want this inventory, Southern has their SP1 that's very similar to the Neodent line. That's a single platform, but I have a hard time believing that the
10
platform
seconds.
size for a mandibular incisor, it should be the same size as a mandibular molar. It's not right. It's all about emergence profiles in prepping the site.
Amen, brother.
Excellent. Thank you. Dr. Farley.
All right. So I, like Ryan, I'm enjoying the single platform game. Single platform significantly reduces both the implant and restorative inventory requirements. We've all worked with companies that have small, medium, large, and even really large connections, and inventory is a nightmare before you need to multiply everything by 3 or 4. And so if you want to have something on hand, like a scan body, impression transfer, healing abutment, you have to multiply it by 4. And it not only gets expensive, but it gets cumbersome and to organize and to track, to maintain the organization of it with your team. When you screw up, it's embarrassing. I think we've all been there before, and I mentioned it before, that sometimes you think you've got everything right in the room, and turns out one of the sizes was wrong. And yeah, it's avoidable, but
10 seconds.
when it happens, it is not fun. And then also just to point out that Noris does offer all the way up to zygos.
Dr. Hogan.
Great inventory management. This is a great reason to be on S.I.N. I mean, I'm going to comment a couple things. Another continent, like, come on, man. I mean, it's 2026. I get everything I want the next day. I don't have to wait for anything, all right? As like Ryan said, all one connection, same, but even better, we get it at like 40% less cost. And, the inventory is so simple. Look at this. I can do everything that I want to do except for zygos on half of that kit. I mean, I get 3 diameter implants of various lengths, 2 pterygoids of each length, so I get the zygos, and I'm ready to do it all in one system. How many of you listers out there are using this system for teres, and that system for zygos, and this system for regulars, and that system for short? I've got it all in one, so I've got smaller inventory at a reduced cost. This is something that I can get behind because it's great for startups, and it's great for big chain DSOs. Everybody's going to save money, hold less inventory, and get the same clinical result. It's just fantastic.
Thank you. All right. Any questions in that section there, Will?
Just wait a second.
Going to go on to the poll. So all those in attendance, you have 30 seconds to enter in your vote for who had the better response when it comes to inventory management. 15 seconds remaining in the vote. Five seconds remaining. And I'm going to end the poll now. And we're moving on to customer support. Now, this is going to go back to that question. If all of you could address the question of the longevity of the implant company. And we're going to start with Dr. Smoler.
I am so happy to start because customer support means so much more than not trying to understand who you're talking to on the phone. BioHorizons is led by Steve and Todd. They are the founders. They had been there from the beginning. Before I became a KOL, I got a phone call, left a message. Hi, this is Steve Bogan. It was around April 1st. I thought it was an April Fool's joke. What CEO is going to be calling you up to invite you down to Birmingham so they can tell you the history and the culture? Unbelievable. Look, Teeth Express, my patient, on a national cover magazine distributed throughout the country. No other implant company does that. They want me to be the best I can be. The support, the seminars, the programming. It is absolutely unbelievable what they go through. They have
10 seconds.
global symposiums. They get together on a regular basis. No other implant company wants you to succeed as much as BioHorizon does.
Dr. Berridge.
Appreciate that. So when talking about longevity, there's the Dentsply and then there's Sirona, both formed in the 1800s, 1877 and 1899, came together around 2016. So they've been here for quite some time. When talking about customer support, it's not really about like the number of phone numbers or what rep promised you. It's about accountability. And when something doesn't go as planned, and it will, has happened, you want a company that answers, right? Not one that blames you or the technique you used. Dentsply has been here for decades, and like clockwork, our main representative, Matt Hale, shout out to him tonight, is in our office weekly to check on our caseload, our product stock, and to simply say hello. So we treat our representatives
Seconds.
more like team members than anything else.
Great. Thank you. Dr. Boyce.
Zimvie has changed names multiple times, but they are the original, they're a combination of the original 3i implants, Implant Innovations Incorporated, as well as the Zimmer implant. So they have a long legacy of implant dentistry research, development. And so they've been around and they're going to stay around. They have a very large sales force, great customer support, like I already spoke about. And I also treat them as my business partner. I only will do business with people that are interested in helping me grow and develop and become more successful. And we bring them in-house just like partners of ours. And if they don't deserve that, they do not get invited in.
Great. Thank you. Dr. Dunlop.
Well, I love that this question is towards the end because this feels like Mariano Rivera coming in and then bottom of the ninth to seal the World Series for the Yankees. Customer support, Neodent dental implants. I cannot tell you, well, I'm going to tell you, the broad spectrum support that Neodent offers its customer base, specifically within the Full Arch Masters alumni network, which is hundreds and hundreds of doctors all over the country. They have gone above and beyond and actually sent out over $300,000 in direct customer rebates to alumni doctors around the country based on their implant sales through Neodent. There is nobody that can come close to the amount of support that that entails. Just actually trust their doctors to give physical rebates for dental implants and grow their businesses directly through support. The reps are amazing, the symposiums are great, and they have an incredible KOL department of doctors that are willing to help at a moment's notice.
Thank you. Dr. Egbert.
All right. So this is where I think Southern Implant shines. It's still a privately owned company. And that's incredibly rare in this world of corporations and venture capital. And so what's unique about this, Brandon, you can see the WhatsApp message from Graham Blackbeard, the owner of the company itself, talking about coming out and lecturing about Omnibut and SDC in South Africa in March. But you can literally WhatsApp the engineers directly and ask them, why was this designed this way? You can make recommendations for improvements. And again, Graham texts me on my birthday, kind of thing. But what's the other thing that's unique is they will make you a specialty implant that doesn't exist. There's forms that exist that you can sign with Southern Implants, and if you have an oncology case or something really interesting, you don't have the length or the width that's necessary for the case, they'll make it for you. And that's unique to Southern Implants.
Thank you very much. Dr. Farley.
So Noris has been around since 2011, and so that does make them a little bit newer to the market. And to be honest, it was the customer support that got us initially aware of them. They had a local rep who was a rock star and stopped by numerous times and talked to us back when we weren't interested. So when we became interested, we knew who to talk to. And unfortunately, she decided she wanted to change industries, and we lost her soon after we made the switch, which of course makes you nervous. But we were pleasantly surprised that as they were looking for a new rep, we got to work with somebody on the corporate team who provided amazing support, and then they eventually found a rep, and it's been wonderful ever since. So really, there's never been any reason that we haven't gotten the support we needed.
Thank you. Dr. Hogan.
Yeah, great. I'm getting excellent customer support. I mean, newer company in North America, but not newer company internationally. The lines of support are drawn deep, all the way down to South America and across the pond. We've got a strong distributor with a great educational presence. I've got direct access to reps. I mean, they help me even on issues not even related to their implants, and they're not hard to get a hold of either. The support, it feels like collaborative, not like transactional. It's not like only when you want to buy something are they there. Like that has been the case in the past with some of my companies. They're available when you're ready to buy something. S.I.N support, it's growing. Why? Because clinicians are adopting it. It's not the other way around. More and more clinicians are going to S.I.N for all the right reasons, including performance-related reasons in their operatories and in their prosthetic clinics,
10 seconds.
and business-related reasons as well. And, I'm going to take the last couple of seconds, give a shout out to Nick, to Egbert, because your hockey beard is phenomenal, dude. I want to draft you on my team.
Maybe that first question was legitimate. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, it was legit. All right, Dr. Kubikian.
I think we all agree support matters at all times of the day and night. I'm lucky to be with Nobel. Their reps, their digital and lab specialists, the tech support, they're very, very robust. They got the patient education kits, the restorative boxes, how-tos to make everyone's life easier. And, I'm trying to tie in the question about how long it's been around, because they're not new to really much of this. I think first All-on-4 was started through Nobel. Procera, CAD/CAM has been in the DNA for decades. That's the infrastructure pretty much behind these parts. And they've supported me for charity cases, the doctors I work with. It's really important to me. Any implant company, especially with a referral-based market, they really need to have good support. And then to answer the other question, I had to Google it because I didn't even know the answer, but it looks like the first implant by Brandemark was done in 1952, leading for the first clinical implant in 65.
10
Nobel
seconds.
Pharma later became Nobel Biocare in 1981. So it's been around a while, I guess.
Yes, good job. All right. Will, any questions?
No questions.
No questions. So let's move on to the poll. 30 seconds to enter in your vote for who had the best response for customer support. And we have 5 seconds remaining. And we are heading into, I'm going to end the poll now. We are heading into our last period. So congratulations to all of you. You've done fantastic. Let's end it on a high note. Let's talk about your restorative connection. We're going to have Dr. Berridge address this first.
Okay, the EV conical connection eliminates really uncertainty with the decrease in micro leakage and stability over time. One interface with 3 different indexing options. Single indexing for typical single crowns provides really instant restorative feedback for our docs. 6 indexing positions and non-index for the MUAs gives 360 degrees for restorative freedom, so to speak, where other implant companies I've found in the past are limited with their angled abutments. Straight or angled 17 or 30 degrees. I find the MUA height to be very important, which is available in 1.5 to 2.5, 3.5, 4.5. So it really helps in the posterior after reduction for full arch cases for a more intimate and restorative fit, increasing aesthetics, phonetics, hygiene, and decreasing food impaction after conversion. So overall, yeah, the interface is what we want to use.
Dr. Boyce.
I personally, I'm a car guy, I'm a motor guy, and there's nowhere in a car motor that's under high torque that has a conical connection. So that for me is a little bit of a gap. But this is a dynamic micro leakage test that shows different connections: a butt connection, conical connection, the original conical connection, and under some like this one, for example, breaks, and the T3 connection, the S.I.N connection, is a repeatable. It's if you have to maintain and take it apart, easy to take apart, especially with full arch. We all have broken screws come in. Have to change out abutments because you can't get the screws out, and that abutment is milled such that it goes to the exact same place every time. With the conical connection, you always risk a abutment seating further than it did before and having a non-passive bar. And so I think that's important.
10 seconds. All right. So I'm really glad you showed this video. Yeah, that's so for anybody who's not familiar with what it's showing is a 14801 test in an aqueous solution. It's pretty cool.
Yes.
Dr. Dunlop.
That didn't take away time from me, I hope.
No, it did not.
All right, so restorative connection, Neodent's connection, what I'm seeing here in this debate, this is the extra innings. This is Blue Jays versus Dodgers, right? So I'm not going to let this World Series slip away. The connection in Neodent is, there's 2 camps here. There's the people who have something totally different than Neodent, which the industry is not favoring. And then you've got the other panelists here that are copying Neodent. So deep conical connections, and over throughout this entire debate, it's similar to Neodent, similar to what Ryan said, similar to Neodent, similar to what Ryan said. There's a reason why there's a purple target on our backs and why Neodent is the #1 implant for full arch restorations in the United States. It's because of the connection, because of the surface, because of all of these things that we've talked today. And basically what I see is that there are companies that are struggling to keep up and introducing new things to copy Neodent. And then there's companies that are blatantly copying Neodent. So as you're listening to this, just think there's a purple target on our backs for a reason.
Yeah, I know what it's like to be copied. All right, Dr. Egbert.
Hey, Dr. Boyce, I'm so glad you showed those videos. I think there's way too much emphasis put on connections when really it needs to be more about passivity of fit and tolerance of fit. So what Southern did a long time ago is they said, hey, we want to cater to the specialists, and specialists have unique needs. They have multiple different general dentists that want different types of connections. So they offer all of these name brand connections on all of their different implants. And they actually fit better than these old companies, according to the studies. The other thing to consider is as a prosthodontist, you get a lot of and of course, as oral surgeons, general dentists, you get a lot of patients with pre-existing implants. So the unique thing about Southern is you can order, say a patient comes in with a Neodent, a 3i, a Nobel, and a BioHorizons implant. It happens. You can order the multi-unit abutments that fit those implants through Southern and be confident in its tolerance of fit and strength. Lastly, this little article is awesome. It pulled Japanese dentists on why they use internal versus external hex. So anything dental, and ultimately it comes down to we base our decisions based off of the ease of use and third-party recommendations, or AKA what our buddies like to use, which is totally non-scientific. So to end, I'd like to invite everybody to sift through some science. And I was the dork that put the most literature up, but literature is fact; it's not opinion.
Thank you. Dr. Farley.
Yep. So as a prosthodontist, this is something that was near and dear, I guess, as we were trying to decide on who we wanted to use in our practice. And Ryan's not wrong. Ryan's not wrong that Neodent has a great implant and a great connection. And I would just follow it by saying that it was a lateral move to go to Noris and yet save and be able to deal with the competition here in our area. So just speaking to the connection, it has, I have 4 things listed as what makes a great connection. I like that it's one size. I like that it's conical. It needs to be index, meaning there's a hex and the platform switch. And when you have those things and things fit well together, you can do some great dentistry with it.
All right. Thank you. Dr. Hogan.
Yeah, right. Excellent point, Nate. Made a lateral move with the same connection for a better price and the same performance. You know, people will say, oh, it's just another conical implant, copying that. You know, exactly, that's the point. It's proven geometry refined, not reinvented. It's not novel anymore. It's not proprietary. Everybody can have it. Many people do have it. You know, just because you invent a concept doesn't guarantee owning the best execution of that concept. You know, history explains the past, not the present going forward. And that conical connection that we have, that we share, is so very important. And one of the reasons that I'm with the S.I.N, again, not a proprietary system and not a novel system anymore, something that many people have, and at reduced inventory and reduced cost. Reduced bone resorption, better soft tissue results, reduced complications, screw loosening, micro gaps, reduced complications all the way across, fewer calls on a Saturday, fewer revisions, and fewer failures. That's what the connection here is all about. And you know, it's just it's near and dear to my heart. Those that have seen me speak, you guys know it's all about the connection, and S.I.N has it.
Dr. Kubikian.
The connection is where you win or lose the case. Nobel's conical interface is machined for near cold welded fit. And I think it's about tolerances and surface quality, not necessarily like a magic angle number from, let's say, someone's brochure. And clinically, I feel like the seal is what you want, the platform shift for tissue, the angulated screw channel. So I think it offers what you need. And I really feel like I'm trying to do a couple of things on this webinar. I want to make sure that I'm giving accurate information, and I'm also curious. Like a lot of times you guys are saying things and I'm quickly searching it because I think all of you represent the best of the best. And I had one comment to make about the question that was asked about bone loss, and it goes into customer support. While on this, I guessed that the reason that there was bone loss was because the study that was cited was an external hex. Well, customer support just reached out to me and said, oh, that's an old study. Those were with external hex. So that might better answer that previous question as well.
Thank you. Excellent. Dr. Smoler.
So I can't wait to talk about restorative connections. You know, it's about how things fit. It's not just slapping things together and say, oh, isn't that cute, like puppies together? But, you know, it reminds me of grammar rock, connection. What's your function? It's hooking up teeth to implants below. You gotta have the proper tolerances. Nick, you're 100% right. And it's more than just how tolerant things are. If you got the wrong grade 4, which is more stiff, that connection can end up being a cold weld. And I'm glad it's an almost cold weld for Nobel, because the molecular change from a cold weld is actually deformation. And no one wants deformation. You want a great connection. That's the basis of putting the parts and pieces together. And BioHorizon,
10 seconds.
they've improved it, they've made it better, and who doesn't like puppies?
All right. Any questions there, Will?
So, one question, Dr. Kubikian, what is your ideal insertion torque for immediate loading?
I don't know if this answer is intended to be scientific because I'm literally representing what I do, but I try to get it around 80. And I did 2 arches this morning and I got most of them to 80, but the minimum I like is 40. But I've admittedly done it with less than that as well.
Thank you. All right. So that concludes today's webinar. And I just want to thank everybody. You guys are an elite group of clinicians. We have another poll. All right. Last poll. 30 seconds on the clock. Let's see those votes come in. We have 20 more seconds. And 5 more seconds here. And I'm going to end the poll now. All right. So I just want to thank everybody for your participation today. It's been awesome. We did have a problem with the registration link, it looks like. So we had a huge number of people register, but it looks like the majority of them were not able to attend. So we will make this webinar available. We will continue the voting throughout until March. So do not think that tonight's results are the final results. You all did fantastic. It's fun to see, you know, some are personality based and some are literature based and some are just all around, just experts all around, right? You're all experts in my book. I do think that it's important to note that all of you are exceptional trainers, and each of you have like different training options available to those who are looking to up their implant game. So I encourage all the attendees who are seeing this tonight and who will see it in the future to look up each of these doctors and see what it is that they have to offer you to up your game. We have Dr. Farley and his laboratory, Dr. Dunlop and his full arch masters group, Dr. Nick Egbert and his implantability and his innovative and patent pending approach to training. Isn't that right, Dr. Egbert?
Oh yeah. And saving a lot of money on taxes, regardless of the implant system you use. So that's important.
We have Dr. Hogan
That's
and his
important.
Atlantic Implant Institute. We have Dr. Brent Boyse, who is just a stackable guide guru. And Dr. Boyse, please correct me if I'm wrong, but your services, your laboratory services are available to anybody. Is that true?
Yes, it is.
Dr. Dunlop, I believe your services are available to everyone, or is it just Full Arch Masters alumni?
Alumni.
Alumni. And Dr. Smoler and his robotic genius. And then we also have, who have I left out here? Dr. Kubikian. He is a master at training specialists how to up their game and up their referral game for full arch fixed. Who else do I have here? Have I left anybody out?
Brandon, you left out yourself. You know, the
Smart on
mastermind.
X. Smart on X.
Yeah, you left
Oh.
out yourself. We got to thank you for putting all this together.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thanks a
And
lot.
much
Yes.
respect to the other panelists on here. Thanks, guys.
Thanks,
Great job.
Yeah.
Okay.
I want to thank you all for what you do to just up the level of dentistry provided throughout the world. And I know, Dr. Egbert, you've got to get running down to Las Vegas for that Orca symposium. So drive safe.
Hey,
Viva
thank you.
la Orca.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
I'll see you guys out in Vegas.
See you
All right.
there.
We are waiting for the results. Do we have the results? So I do want to just I've got to throw this in there. This is a shout out to Dr. Niznik, and you guys knew that there would be some commentary from Dr. Niznik. I always love to see what he's got. He says, "I would never have imagined in 1986, when I invented the internal conical connection, that 40 years later it would be the subject of a debate with every company agreeing it is essential." So it is really nice to just rub shoulders with innovators, and each of you I've been able to associate with and learn from, and I appreciate all that you do. And Dr. Niznik, you're right. Thank you so much for getting us from an external hex and into an internal connection for implants.
I didn't know they had Wi-Fi on his jet. That's cool.
See the results? Do we have the results? Oh, I haven't seen them.
Roll.
Yeah, let's.
You want to see them first?
Well, I can't. So you do it because I can't see it on my screen.
Save and share.
All right.
Nice job, Ryan.
Well
Yeah.
done, Rye.
Yeah. Nice work.
Looks
Okay.
like the Full Arch Masters group has come through for their leader. And
Very
then Nobel. Wow. Strong work. And Zimvie. Excellent work. Well, like I said, this is a small sampling, and there will be another awards ceremony. But yeah, congratulations tonight, Ryan, for a strong showing. But honestly, you all did amazing. So thank you so much.
We're all
And
winners.
with that, you're all winners in my book. But with that, I think we'll go ahead and terminate the webinar. And I just thank you from the bottom of my heart. You guys did great.
Yeah,
Brandon,
thanks for
thank
setting
you
this up,
very
Brandon.
much. You know, kudos,
Thanks,
nice
Brandon.
work.
Good job,
Very good.
everybody. Bye.
Way to go, Brandon.
Yeah.